It's been about 2 weeks since I put up the Vont Smart LED strip light review and giveaway video, where people could enter by commenting down below on that video, and then also heading out to the Vont Instagram page and giving them a follow. Anyhow, we did a drawing last week and had 2 winners. Ryan, who claimed his, and Overrip, but I haven't heard from Overrip. And as I stated, we're going to go ahead and have a second drawing to give away the one that Overrip did not claim. So I'm going to be doing the drawing later today, probably in a couple hours when I get home. So if you just got to this video and you haven't commented on that video, the one where I do the Vont strip lighting installation and giveaway, leave a comment on there and you'll be automatically entered. I do need to remind you though, you need to live in America. I don't know if I don't think Vont will ship it for free overseas. So I just realized that I didn't mention it initially. So if you're in the United States and you want a shot at winning the Vont strip light, it's an awesome light. It really changes the mood of the room or the RV or the house, or your car or your van, wherever you install it. It's really neat. So anyhow, make sure you give that video a thumbs up, like the video, make a comment, so you get to enter the contest, and then go to the Vont Instagram. All that stuff's available in a pinned comment on that video. So be sure to enter that. The drawing will be coming up in probably within a couple hours. Once I get home, make some food to eat, chill a little bit. So how's everybody doing? Hope you all doing well. I'm doing okay on this end. Actually trying to get my my situation, sorted out while I still have this time. It's like I was given a little bit of extra time by the fates or God or whatever you want to call, the situation. But as it developed, I was supposed to be in Thailand at this point. But if I was in Thailand right now, I would be kind of poor. I'd be okay over there, but I'd be living kind of poor because I didn't have any money. I'd be having to try to make a living off YouTube. The money over there, US dollars, translates to quite a bit in Thailand, but still I would be poor. I'd need to make at least about probably at least 800 a month or more to be comfortable in Thailand. That's to get a place to live and be comfortable. I was trying to stay on roughly about 500 a month. That included rental. So, but it would be doable, but I wouldn't be living like real wealthy or anything like that. But with the COVID situation and the shutdown and everything else that happened, I ended up in a better financial situation because now, I ended up, instead of using my savings to go to Thailand, I ended up buying a house, which because I bought it as a tax deed, I was able to get it cheaper than buying it, outright. Although it took a lot of tears and sweat and a lot of work. The house is now livable and usable and saving me money on living expenses because, it's just utilities. All I have to pay for is utilities. Now, I'm actually looking at contacting the, I didn't file like a homestead exemption on it. So I'm thinking of contacting the county to see, if I can get a homestead exemption. And if I do get a homestead exemption on it, I think my taxes will drop dramatically or might even go away. I don't know if there's a threshold, how much they charge, but I'll talk to them about that as well as being a disabled vet. See if they can knock it down. Because if they get rid of the property taxes, because it's such a low income area and the house isn't worth that much, at least on paper, it's not worth a lot. I could live essentially for free other than utilities and food. which makes life like right now. I'm in a mode of trying to save, my retirement money. I had a retirement initially that was planned with, working as a teacher and having the pension for a full retirement, as well as my software company. But with my really bad divorce and everything that happened, I lost everything. So now I did manage to salvage my teaching retirement, but it got cut short, so it's not really that much. I don't really get a lot for my teaching, but at least it's something. It's better than nothing. So, and that's what I was planning on living off, and YouTube, or some other job. But really, to be able to live off my pension and a little bit of extra income from YouTube would be fantastic. And if I got my housing expenses down to the point of not really having to pay for anything other than utilities, I could live off my YouTube earnings and my retirement money. I mean, I wouldn't be like able to do everything I want to do, but at least I'd have a roof over my head, food to eat, and be comfortable. It was nice last night, and yesterday. I'm in Florida, and if you guys remember how bad it was living in a van, and as it starts to warm up, I think there might still be parts of the United States that are still cold, but Florida has been, like right now, it's 83 degrees outside, and it's been hot. It's been hot here. So I was fortunate enough that, I was able to run air conditioning and stuff. So it was nice. It was nice to be able to sit there and just chill and relax and watch TV with air conditioning blowing at me. I know one thing though. If I had to move back into a van, it would be really hard. You get spoiled. You get spoiled with having electricity on demand. You get spoiled with having air conditioning on demand. You get spoiled with having water, showers, hot showers, and all those things spoil you. So, I do think about the people who are still having to live in an RV or a van, not by choice, but by necessity, and it's hard. I think of things I can figure out how to do to help people, what I can do. I think the big thing that we could do is actually try not to outlaw it, or give the people who are in that situation a hard time. I think as society, we need to be trying to get those people, if they don't want to be living in a van or a car, we need to be trying to get them out of their van or car into a better, more stable environment. And I know they say they're working on it, but the people I'm looking around, I still see people who are homeless on the streets, But not only do I see that, I still see them getting a hard time from government. Government's like going against these people because they're not paying taxes, but they were until they lost their home. They were paying taxes and all the fees and stuff that helped to create government. But now that they're down on their luck, sometimes it seems like, they've been abandoned because they're like, well, they're not, they don't really vote anymore. They don't, because because they're on the streets. They're in survival mode. Believe me, I know what that was like. I did vote and stuff, and fortunately for me, I was able to work. I had a job at the temp agency, and that's what eventually led me to where I am now. So if you're in a van or a car and still following this channel and you're not doing it by choice, I say keep pressing forward. Try to figure out what your end goal is, and you've got to try to work towards it. If you were like me and you didn't really want to live in a van or whatever, you just had to do it, it does help you to really see things and appreciate things more, like just hot water or water on demand or electricity and things like that. But the first thing I would suggest is you've got to try to sign up with an agency, a temporary agency or something. You know, if you're veteran, they now have programs that try to get you into a house. I didn't really use the veteran programs because they always said I was making too much money. Because when they first diagnosed me as being homeless, I was working as a mailman, and mail carriers get paid okay. I think I was making about $17, $18 an hour as a mail carrier, and that would normally be okay for a single person, but they were taking my child support, and I was in the South Florida, which is super expensive to live. It was in the Jupiter area, so I couldn't afford to pay child support and rent an apartment. So I pretty much continued living in my van and used the money to pay child support, as well as drive to see my kids and spend money on them when I saw my kids, so I could take them out to eat, take them to do things instead of just sitting around in the car. Although most of the time we spend a lot of time at parks and the beach and things that were free, So the only money I had to spend was gas, but it was like 800 miles I drove every weekend. That would be enough to rent an apartment. Well, almost enough to rent an apartment, share a bedroom or something in South Florida. But then I wouldn't have the ability to see my children. I know some people think that was a mistake to spend $800 a month on gasoline just to go see your kids, when that $800 could have went towards renting a room somewhere, But I felt it was critical because I didn't know, if I was still going to be alive or not. But the thing about life is, you don't really know how long it's going to last, unless you end your own life, which I don't recommend. I recommend even if it's tough, ride it out. Things change. Just like they got bad, they can get good again, So don't end your life. Have hope and keep pressing forward. But anyhow, what I was saying is, I opted to spend the money that I had to see my children, because I didn't know how long I was going to stay alive, how long I would be able to manage living in a van in Florida down there, dealing with all the stuff you have to deal with as a van dweller. I was just blessed that at the time I had a decent job. I was working as a mailman. Had I had another type of job, I wouldn't have been able to afford to visit my kids, see my kids every other weekend, because Florida doesn't pay a lot. Florida likes to get by with pretty much minimum wage, Although with COVID, I think it might have changed somewhat, but still I don't think they're paying nearly enough because the price of everything's gone up so high. Trying to rent, like, I think the average one or two bedroom, the average 2-bedroom apartment, and we're not even talking a high-end apartment, we're talking the cheaper ones in Florida, in Brevard County, where I am, it's probably $1,200 to $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. And if you want a 1-bedroom, it's probably about $1,000 to $1,400, and that's for a cheap one. So if you're not earning that much, all that money would go to just paying your apartment, and then you still have to pay, for your food, for your gas to get to work. It's ridiculous. Now, I am doing something now that I have a house and a decent job. I am trying to reset everything. When this all first went down, it was devastating because it wasn't like one little thing at a time. It was all at once. I lost my reputation. I lost my ability to get a good job because of all the crazy stuff that was all over the news. It's plastered everywhere. I was all over the county. I was on the front page of the newspaper, fallen teacher. I'm still plastered all over the internet. Even all that crap is wrong and lies. But still, it's enough to destroy your life. But what happened was it ruined my credit, and in America, you need credit to get anything. Initially I was able to get some credit back, but I wasn't able to recover. I think the key that I learned from all of this, if that crap happens to you, you got to recover ASAP. Like, you have probably about 1 or 2 months to get back on your feet. And if you don't have a support network, which I didn't, I thought I did, but I didn't. People that you thought were your friends, turns out, they're not. They just say they're your friends, but they don't really help you, or don't help you enough when you really need it. So, if you don't recover, it only gets worse. It's expensive when you don't have a house, when you don't have credit, everything they do to you, society punishes you. If you're poor, if you're unable to have medical services and stuff like that, like my teeth falling out and having to glue everything with super glue, you get punished for being poor, which is messed up, because I don't think people choose to be poor. Although the people who have jobs and money often look down on the poor and say, yeah, they're just lazy, they just don't want to. I would say there's a percentage of people who are like that, but there are some people by circumstance who are put into that situation. And once you're in that situation, it really is hard to dig yourself out. Everything about society works against you. Like, if you have to rent, you're at the mercy of the landlord. And if you're poor, I've had to live with the poor people, and I'm still kind of in a poor area. They get taken advantage of. The landlord, whoever owns the house or the land, can demand things and not be fair. And you're like, well, they could take them to court. The court is all about money. You got to have money to be able to file. You got to have money to be able to argue and afford an attorney. Otherwise, you lose. And a lot of poor people don't have access to that kind of stuff. They say like legal aid and things like that may help you sometimes. In my situation, I didn't have access to legal aid. But even with legal aid, they may not help you, especially if you're a guy, that had like charges and stuff brought up against you, whether valid or not. You lose out on a lot of services, and they kind of leave you to survive on your own. And if you're in that situation like I was, I say, hang in there, hang in there. But you got to come up with a plan. The first plan would probably be just try to survive, long enough. The second one would be, you have hope, Without hope, you're doomed. But if you have hope and keep pressing forward, even through the hard times, you can succeed. You can get out of there. But you got to have a long range plan. And, my plan had been basically, I wanted to make sure that I saw my kids, because I thought I could die at any moment. I literally thought I could die at any moment. But I wanted to make sure that I saw my kids all the way to the end, because your life is kind of what you make of it. And, I wanted to make sure that I lived my life as I believe, and I treat people as I believe, And regardless of my financial situation or status in society, I always try to be true to that, because in the end, we're all dirt, we all become dirt. And how you lived your life, how you carried yourself, and how you treat other people, that was your life. That was the person that you are. That was the person that you were. That is the person you want to be. So once you decide that, it makes it really easy to make the right decisions about your life, And I know some people say, well, you made a whole bunch of mistakes. Yeah, that's part of life, is making mistakes. But part of life is also taking advantage of an opportunity to recover from that mistake and learn from it and move forward and improve the situation. So I'm in a situation right now where I'm actually okay financially. I'm not like rich or anything, but financially I'm okay, and able to rebuild my credit. I'm trying to rebuild my credit again. So, I will share with you some of my journey on paver here, driving by here real slow. Anyhow, I'm on a journey right now to try to rebuild my life to like Denoy. I guess this would be Denoy 3.0. My aspirations, they've changed a lot. when things were going really well before the divorce and everything nasty, I wanted to be mega rich and have a mansion and all this stuff, and I was trying to work towards that. After having everything taken away, I just wanted to be simple and live in a van or in a hut in a woods somewhere and just die like that. You know, I would live my life real simple. But somehow fate sometimes comes in and says, you know what? We're not gonna let you do that. We got something else in store for you. So I'm in this situation now where, you know, I learned something new. I learned how to buy a tax deed house, which I knew about but never did. It's not as hard as you think. Essentially, all you have to do is contact, at least in Brevard County, contact the county that you live in, the tax office, you know, for property taxes, and ask them if they have tax deed sales and what you need to do. And a lot of counties, they have online auctions, and you know, you go out, you sign up for that, and then you go on to the auction and you have to deposit your money. The key to it is you got to have money. So you got to have quite a bit of money. Basically, you got to have enough, like a down payment that you would buy for a house, you know, a full-blown house, but your down payment is the whole house. Like, I got my house probably at about, for what these houses are going for, the ones around me that I've just sold, I got mine for like 30% of retail. So to be able to own a house completely at 30% is pretty good. And then also some other stuff that you can consider, you know, especially if you're a van dweller, you do have the advantage of your cost of living while you're in a van is extremely low as long as you don't drive everywhere too much. But I was watching this YouTube channel, and there's a guy that covers the United States, and I guess he does, like, you know, referral. He's like a consultant and does referrals for property and things like that. But he was showing off America and all the poor areas and stuff. And I think his videos were pretty recent. But he was showing like towns in South Carolina. That's the United States, South Carolina, where you could buy a house for $10,000. Yeah, with the land. So if you can manage to save at least $10,000 or more, you know, potentially you could get a house with land in South Carolina or elsewhere. And if you get it off a tax deed sale, I imagine in those counties, you could probably pick up that house for $1,000 to $2,000. Granted, it's going to be in some nowhere city without much, you know, opportunities. But if you're a YouTuber, if you're able to set up an e-commerce store, if you're able to hustle a little bit, if you're on disability, if you have some kind of semi-regular payment coming in, even though it's not a lot, and you save, you could buy your own land and your own home and give yourself a chance to reboot. You know, it might not be the mansion, whatever that you imagined yourself in before, but it's a way to restart. And what happens once you start to acquire land and, you know, stability and things like that, you have the opportunity to catch your breath and maybe, you know, increase your standard of living. So, you know, those are people who are watching this channel. I know I have a lot of people who are van dwellers and stuff following me. And some people absolutely love it. But some people are doing it like me, you know, not by choice, but by necessity. Plan your exit strategy. And, you know, the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is money. You're going to need money. So try to get a job. And if you can't even get any other jobs, go for the day labor. Find out, contact your local labor offices, you know, the government or whatever, and say, do they have any places where you can get a day labor job? And generally what they are, and I did them, you guys that have been with me, you've seen me do them. You basically sign up with a service, and then they will send you to different companies to work for one day. It's like a temp agency. But they also have places that are where you just show up. You don't even sign up with a company. You show up at like a location, like a gas station or the corner of a parking lot somewhere, and cars come by, usually construction or people renovating their homes, whatnot, and they'll bring a truck, and then they'll come over and look at the workers there and hand pick you know, 4, 5, 6, 10 of them, and make them hop on the truck. Well, don't make you, but they tell you to hop on the truck, and they take you out to their work site, and then you just work for that day, and you get paid cash. It's not gonna be a lot of money, probably minimum wage usually, but that, you know, let's say they give you $8 an hour. You could work and get like $64, and then with food and travel, you could make about $50 a day. You know, it's not a lot, but in a week that's $250. In a month that's $1,000, which is still way below poverty level. But if you're living in your van or whatever, you know, as long as you're not using that money to pay for a hotel or something to live in, because a lot of poor people, that's what they do. They end up living in a hotel, which is super expensive, because they can't even rent a place. Nobody will let them rent. If you do have some money right away and you're about to lose everything, like you're still not in that zone, you're in the almost in that zone, like you're not able to afford your rent or whatnot. I would tell you this, okay? If you cannot afford your rent, don't pay your rent. Take that money for the next 2 or 3 months before they kick you out. I know it's a bad thing to do for the person renting you the property, but this is survival mode. You know, they're gonna kick you out, okay? But take that money and use it, but try to buy land or something somewhere. You know, if you say the average rent is, let's say, $1,200, that's $3,600. $3,600 is potentially enough to buy a tax deed home, a real home with land. It might be in the middle of nowhere, but you're not going to be on the street. You know? Or another option is to try to negotiate a deal with somebody where you can stay in their yard. You know, like a lot of places, they don't want you parking your van or RV in front of their house. They're not allowed for zoning reasons. But a lot of places you can park it in the backyard. So negotiate a deal where you can pay them $100 or $200 a month and have an RV pulled over there. And you're like, but I don't have an RV. People are always giving them away. Okay, they're always giving away RVs. They might not run. Okay, but if you can get an RV or a camper and have it towed over there, you know, as long as the person will allow you to do that, you can park there and live in their yard, you know, and then give them extra money so that they can get rid of it when you move out, you know. But basically, it's a chance for you to reset, to catch your breath. You know, it's not going to be the best circumstances or the best situation. You saw the places I got, you know. The RV was all ripped apart and had black mold or whatever all over it. Terrible. And some people say, well, your health and blah, 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 you know, you're putting yourself at risk dealing with all that stuff. Yeah, I know. But my other option is to be on the streets. Give me the RV with the mold, and I'll go in there and I'll clean it, you know, versus being on the street dead. When your two choices are dead right now or potential health issues later, I'll take the potential health issues later, okay? And hopefully, you know, you take whatever precautions you can take, you know, but you do what you need to do to survive. Same with skipping on the rent or whatever. I know it's a bad thing. Ethically, it's kind of bad, but you're not in a situation where you have that choice. Maybe if you feel bad about it, maybe when you get your money, you know, when you're stabilized, you can go give them money, you know. I did repay back some people who were kind to me, not as a repayment, but when things started to stabilize for me, I took some money and I kind of donated it to certain people who assisted me, you know, where I was staying at you know, before I lost everything. They let me stay at their house that was being foreclosed, by the way. You know, I was able to contribute back some of it, not because I was obligated or anything, but because I felt they were kind to me and I wanted to return back the favor, you know. Some of the stuff I still do, I do because other people just were so kind to me and helped to lift me up, you know, and hold me up to survive this long. I would say start up a YouTube channel if you have nothing else. Like I didn't have a job. That's what I was living on, was YouTube. Start up a YouTube channel. I know it's hard to get monetized and whatnot, but if you're one of the fortunate ones that YouTube decides to promote, you may pick up enough viewers and watch time if your content's interesting enough that you actually become monetized. And if you can get monetized, you could survive on it, you know. I was, like I said, I was making, when I first started monetizing my channel, it took 3 months to get money before I got monetized to the point where I made money. And then the first couple months, I made an average of $25 to $75 a month. That wasn't enough. And they don't pay you till you hit a threshold. I told them to pay me once they hit like 150 bucks. And after 3 months, they paid me like 170 bucks or something. 3 months worth. Then it started to grow, probably because, you know, people were interested in what was happening with me because I was on the beach walking and talking about how I just lost everything and I was moving into my van and trying to live in a van. That's how, you know. Originally I had not planned on having a YouTube channel. I was just going to do it for survival, but I saw in the van dwelling, you know, my YouTube, not my YouTube, but my Facebook. I had a Facebook group and page called Living in a Van. And I saw a lot of people asking about YouTube and whether or not you can make money on it. So I decided to go ahead and make a YouTube and bring people along so they could see what happens, you know, to a guy who doesn't know anything about YouTube or anything, to start up a YouTube channel, get monetized, and how much you actually earn and what works, what doesn't work. But I would say do that, because even if you don't get monetized, but some people view you, believe it or not, there are some kind people out there. Yeah, believe it or not. There are people out there who may have been through something similar to you in the past. Or maybe they're just earth angels and they're just kind. But there are people out there who have struggled, maybe even worse than you, or maybe just as bad or almost as bad as you are currently going through. And they may not talk about it too much, but they survived it. And when they see someone in that situation, they extend a hand, you know. And so we say, well, you're looking for handouts. Not really. Like, I never really asked people for money, but when I was struggling, when I had like $3 in my pocket, and, you know, I used my money, they used it to pay child support. That didn't leave me much for anything. But I wanted to do a road trip because I thought I would die on that road trip. Do you remember those initial road trips when I went down to South Florida and was doing that circuit? I thought I would die on that trip, believe it or not. Viewers were watching me, and some viewers were just sending money. They were just sending like $15, $20. It may not seem like a lot, but that was enough for gas for me to survive another week. You know, you know, and if you're doing YouTube where you're in a van traveling and stuff, you get a lot more content, and also it uplifts your spirit, you know. And when you share stuff like that from the heart, you know, real world situations and stuff, people get intrigued by that. And I think, you know, that's what helped the channel initially. People were tuning in, even if they didn't live in a van. They were like, well, this is weird. But you also attract the crazies, you know, the trolls and the haters and all that. So try to ignore those people. I know it's hard because they seem to like picking on people who are in a bad situation, and it's just evil, you know. And for those people, I say, you know, I feel sorry for them, you know, that they must feel so bad about themselves, so low about themselves, that they have to try to find somebody who is not really able to defend themselves because they're in a bad situation, and pick on them. Basically bullies, you know. They have serious problems. And you know, I don't know if there's anything that you could do to help them other than just pray for them, you know, and ignore them. But anyhow, we will be doing the drawing shortly, so look for that live. I'll be doing a live drawing from inside the house in my air-conditioned room, because you can see I'm sweating. It's not from being nervous, it's from 85 degrees sitting out here. The Florida heat in the car. So look forward to that drawing. If you haven't entered it yet, go to that video. It's about 2 weeks ago that I posted it on my channel. The Vont LED strip light, smart strip light installation and giveaway. Make a comment on that video. If you want to help me out, like that video. And then also go to the Vont Instagram page and follow them, you know, because they are our sponsors. It's the second time they've sponsored us. So they keeping us on their pool of sponsored channels. So they're one of our partners. So anyhow, I will be doing the drawing. We're going to give away the second light. So good luck. And I hope to see your name pop up on the drawing for the Vont light giveaway. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon in a couple hours. Bye-bye now.